is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And we're going to start with him today as we'll begin with the blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out. Turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The Braves rallied past the Royals last night after falling behind early, and Kansas City looks to bounce back tonight, and they get to face Eric Fede. It's Fede Day in Kansas City after he was let go by the Cardinals. The Braves are desperate. They're out of arms. So, Lee, what do you like here with the Royals and the Braves?
If you want to match up with two teams going completely different directions, look no further than this one. Royals have gone 13-8 in July, half back of Cleveland here. And for second, AL Central, while Atlanta, absolute freefall mode, 6-15 in July, and looks like they'll be selling off pieces. In fact, Atlanta has lost all 5 starting pitchers from the opening weekend. They're going to have to turn to Eric Fede here. He was designated for assignment after Cards gave up on him. In fact, he had an 0-5 stretch with a 13 ERA. So they're starting to place a lot of players also on the IL, and guys like Fede are just going to have to be stopgags the rest of the way. Seth Lugo, on the other hand, was the target of some trade talks, but instead he signed a multi-year extension over the weekend. So probably feeling pretty good about himself. His 2.48 ERA at home is 16th best in Major League Baseball. And tonight's Braves lineup hitting a feeble 2.15 over their career against him. So it's time to really start fading the Braves here for a lot of reasons. I just think this is a absolute blowout special. Kansas City Royals, money line, -125.
And we'll see if the Royals can bounce back after last night's loss, after Spencer Strider beat them. And it's funny how Rich Hill, the ageless wonder, went for Kansas City last night. And now the Braves will get Fede, or the Royals will face Fede here tonight, see if they can even up this series at 1 game apiece. Taking a look back, Lee, at what unfolded last night, kind of a tough night for us, 0-2-1. And we'll begin, I guess, with me. Luckily, the Giants got a push in the first 5 against the Pirates. They got down early 4-1, and then they got a couple to make it 4-3, and then eventually got the 4th run in the 4th inning. Pittsburgh won the game, though, but Giants had some opportunities. But again, Wisenhunt didn't pitch too well. Mitch Keller wasn't great, but we'll take the push over a loss, I guess.
Oh, when everything goes wrong, you get a push. You got to take it. So, Pittsburgh played about as well as they could play for the first 5 innings and still couldn't come out with a win. So just like I said, a case where everything was going against us. We had our shots, just couldn't produce.
And then the earlier game got a bit of a later start due to a rain delay. And the Rockies ended up beating the Guardians. Slade Ciccone ended up going 7 innings in that game, but just couldn't get over the hump. Colorado's offense woke up late, and it's tough. You can't really apologize when you fade the Rockies, but Colorado's going to win some here and there, and they ended up getting a win last night over Cleveland.
Yeah, and we still had a shot. In the bottom of the 7th, we put up a 5 spot after early in the game having so many chances and couldn't pull through. So, pitching could have done anything. Last couple innings, we would have come out with a winner, but not to be the case. So just wasn't our day. Guys on base, both of those two teams, you just couldn't knock them in.
And the final one, which actually, Lee, I hate to say like this, is kind of funny. Gunnar Henderson didn't go over his bases prop when Baltimore's offense completely exploded. And it was Henderson and Jackson Holiday were the 2 guys without a hit in that starting lineup. Everyone else had 2 or 3 hits. and those guys couldn't get a hit. Baltimore ended up beating Toronto, but it's tough to lose, but also you say to yourself, like, man, like everyone else exploded, but you just couldn't do it.
I got distracted, and all of a sudden I think it was 5 or 6-0 Baltimore, and I'm like, oh wow. I mean, I probably went over already, and sure enough, he gets walked, I think, in his first at bat, and he was the only guy. He and the leadoff hitter. Everyone else is having career nights. So, like I said, one of those nights. We're only down 2 units. We have plenty of time to bounce back.
Absolutely, and we have football coming up this week. 2 days now from the Hall of Fame game between the Lions and the Chargers up in Canton, and again. Not exactly the easiest out of all the preseason games, just because it's pretty much a guarantee that none of the starters are going to play.
True, but the winner's a winner. I'm going to have something either on the game or the total, so you will definitely want to tune in tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm sorry, tomorrow or Thursday, and then next week we're probably going to release some early games in preseason. So there's a lot of situations. Even week 1, where there's a bunch of teams where they've got just loaded with rookies and younger players looking to feast and to get on top early. So we'll have, like I said, have something either tomorrow or Thursday on the Hall of Fame game, and plenty of action, probably 3 or 4 games the entire week next week. So we're ready to go.
We still have plenty more to get to, but before we look at a baseball prop for tonight, we're going to look at the Washington Huskies as well. And we have a lock on the Cubs Brewers. I just wanted your thoughts on the whole Deion Sanders situation. That Deion had his press conference on Monday, and the thought was, all right, Deion's going to step down as the head coach of Colorado. He has these health issues. His sons aren't there anymore. I thought he was done after his sons left the program. But Deion, thankfully, he's okay. Bladder cancer, he's all right. But I just found it kind of interesting that he has this whole press conference saying, I had cancer. I'm okay. Let's continue on. And that kind of just felt like very Deion-like.
I'm not a Deion fan, but good for him. I'm happy he's okay. Don't wish any ill will on anyone. There was a lot of sharps that were betting the last couple of days that he was done. They thought that press conference was that he was finished coaching, stepping away. So a lot of people, and I had someone tell me, bet the under. Well, I didn't. So sometimes it's best to err on the side of caution, stayed away from it, and he's back.
I'm just surprised. I really thought that he was going to be done after 2 years, and he's still there, and see what happens. He'll probably win this year without his sons there. Will be kind of interesting now that Shador is with the Browns, so we'll see how that all turns out. Coming up, we do have a player prop, Dodgers-Reds on Teoscar Hernandez. We'll have that. And also UW, the Huskies. We will discuss them, their second season in the Big Ten. That is all straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Tell you now about Gametime, and we love Gametime here on Locked On Bets. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you could splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Also, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and a lot of great matchups here the next few days. If you're, depending on where you're at, if you're in New York and you want to catch the Yankees at home against the Rays. California, there's 4 series going on in California. So if you want to catch one of those series in San Francisco, see the Giants and the Pirates. If you're in Sacramento, you want to see the A's and the Mariners. If you're in San Diego for the Padres and the Mets, or even in Anaheim with the Angels and the Rangers, you can check it out. So you're going to see it in California. You got a lot of choices there if you want to catch a baseball game and you go to Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Gametime app today. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We continue here on Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And it's time now to take a look at one of our hidden gems.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
The Dodgers and the Reds, they meet up in Cincinnati tonight. Dodgers won the opener last night, and tonight we'll see if LA keeps it going. And Lee, Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers, let's see what he does against Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, Nick Lodolo certainly has pitched well late, had a gem, near perfect game, but got to track pitchers after huge performances. And last year, Brian Wu, after a near-perfect game, got lit up. Yesterday, Christopher Sanchez, after his complete game, gave up 4 runs and lost to the White Sox. Weather looks delightful for hitters, and Hernandez hitting .290 versus lefties with 11 home runs and 21 extra base hits. He's a guy that's just under the radar. I mean, everyone talks about all their other players, but he's clutch, does a little bit of everything, hits for power, will get you the extra base if you relax. And I think he's a team leader. So I'm going to take the over. 1.5 bases here, -115 tonight. I think he's going to have a big performance. I think he's going to have 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 total bases. We're going to go with the hidden gem, Teoscar Hernandez, over 1.5 bases, -115. Strong play for me.
So we'll see how Hernandez can keep it up tonight in Cincinnati. We know the hits always come there in that stadium. And Dodgers and the Reds, big matchup there in the National League. As we transition now to college football and taking a look at the Big Ten with the Washington Huskies. And we'll see if Washington can turn it around this season. So it is time now for another hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
So the Washington Huskies, now second season in the Big Ten. Kalen DeBoer had left to go to Alabama to take over Nick Saban, and Jed Fish came in. 6-7 last year for the Huskies. Of course, you got to do all that traveling now in the Big Ten from west to east, which isn't easy. But your thoughts, Lee, on UW and what they can do this season?
Remember Jed Fish when he's here at Miami? He's the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One of the few, I thought, talented coaches on the staff when he was here. So they just didn't have the players. So they were gutted last year. I mean, seniors graduating and a ton of players basically spread out all over the country. And they just didn't want to hang around for the rebuild. Well, the rebuild might be happening quicker than you would think. How can that happen? Well, they got a quarterback named DeMond Williams. If you don't know the name, look him up and remember it. He's a true sophomore. Kid is a star. If you watched him in the bowl game, I know they lost the game. I think they went for the 2-point conversion, lost by a point. But this kid can do it all. Runs, throws, looks like he's a leader also. So you can do it quick with quarterbacks. You can go from a 6-7 record to winning 8, 9, 10 games. Also, they have a running game. Jonah Coleman, number 1, 1,087 yards rushing last year, averaged 5.5 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns. A battering ram. Here's a guy that as the game progresses, he gets stronger. So unless a team has got a lot of depth on the defensive line and linebacker, they're going to get run down. Last year, the receivers just weren't that good. They had lost 3 guys. I think either all 3 were drafted in the first round or 2 in the first round, 1 early in the second. Much improved. Denzel Boston leads that group. So you got the 1-2 punch here of Jonah Coleman, number 1, and quarterback number 2, DeMond Williams. Defense, well, weren't great last year, but Ryan Walters, new defensive coordinator, comes over. He was the head coach at Purdue for 2 years. Just one of these guys that's a better probably defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. Before that, defensive coordinator in Illinois, kept them in a lot of games with not much offensive talent. So not only did they get a bunch of transfers in, they got a bunch of guys, like 5 different guys that were 2-year starters from other schools. So they're going to be experienced here. And then let's go to the schedule. Only 4 games on the road out of state. They do play Washington State in the 3rd game after playing Colorado State and UC Davis, which should be easy wins. And they're looking for revenge. So Washington State, their star quarterback transferred. I think Washington's going to go in there, and can never tell with, in-state rivalry games. But I think that they're going to lay one on Washington State and at least win the game there. And if they're 3-0, how big is that game going to be at home against Ohio State? So you got a case where a team's going east to west, 3 time zones. And I've been there before. I've seen what goes on at that stadium. That's a tough, tough stadium. In fact, last year, even when they were 6-7, they won every single game at home. So let's say they even lose the Ohio State game, then they got Maryland and Rutgers probably sitting 5-1. Just got to come up with 3 wins the rest of the way. So I think this is a team that's under the radar here, and I believe in Jedd Fisch. Love the quarterback, Damon Williams. If they win their first 4 games, upset Ohio State, beat Maryland and Rutgers, start 6-0, there's going to be some Damon Williams talk here for the Heisman. Probably not going to win it because they still have some tougher games down the road against Illinois and Michigan, but they got Illinois at home. Who knows? I like Washington here. Here's my hidden gem. 7.5 is the total. They win 8-9 games. Washington, a big-time bounce-back team.
Do you think, Lee, after the national championship appearance 2 years ago, what Michael Penix was able to do, and basically it was just gutted after DeBoer left, Penix obviously went to the NFL, that Jedd Fisch, it was a pretty good rebuilding job considering you're not in the Pac-12 anymore. You got to jump to the Big Ten immediately, and you still went undefeated at home. And you went to Indiana, who was a huge surprise last year. Remember losing that game. You still beat USC. You beat UCLA at home, a couple of your old Pac-12 rivals. That it wasn't a terrible job considering all the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, the first year of traveling west to East Coast, we saw teams really have a tough time. And even that game, they were right in the game. I think it was tied or they were down by 3 or 7. And then they were driving in Indiana's territory and they had a tip pass. They tried a flanker screen, tipped, and it goes for a pick 6. So just a lot of bad breaks. And after that first year, this is a place, other than Oregon, if you're on the West Coast and you want to play some big boy football, not a lot of people looking at USC. I think they got a lot of problems there. UCLA is a total afterthought. Washington, a great place to play college football, and they got money there. Don't be surprised. Not Oregon duck money, but they got money, solid coaching staff, and they're going to be a player in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and you never know, even with Ohio State, still a tough trip going up there to Seattle when they meet on September 27th. And again, Washington, we'll see how it turns out. And
new quarterback for Ohio State. So, it's a little bit different. These teams coming off a couple home games are feeling good about themselves like Ohio State. I'm telling you, I've been there. Miami lost in 2000. They were loaded. They lost that, I think it was the first or second game of the year, and then ran the table the rest of the year. Probably should have been in the title game instead of Florida State. Place was rocking. So one of the most underrated, toughest places to play. As we found out last year, they won every single game at home.
Yeah, so we'll see how Washington turns out in their second year in the Big Ten. Still coming up, we do have our lock of the day. That's straight ahead right here on Locked On Bets. We roll on here on Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And now it is time for the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Well, today, Lee is handing the key to me for the lock of the day as the Cubs face the Brewers in Milwaukee, and the Cubs led the Brewers 3-0 last night out of the gate. Milwaukee came back and beat Chicago, and the Brewers now jump the Cubs for first place in the National League Central. Quick side note before we get to the lock, Lee, that we did have the Brewers at plus 240 to win the division at the All-Star break. So we'll see. Again, still a long way to go, 2 months, but looking decent right now for that. So let's get to this game tonight in Milwaukee, and we're going to go with the Chicago Cubs full game here against the Brewers. Now, on the Cubs side, Colin Ray, who was with Milwaukee the last 2 years, now with Chicago, looking to bounce back after a tough start against the Royals his last time on the mound. But the good news is for Ray, in 6 road starts this year, the Cubs are 5-1 when he takes the mound away from Wrigley Field. So he has pitched well, and I'm sure he'll want to pitch well against his former team tonight. Quinn Priester goes for Milwaukee. He was a guy that just couldn't make it with the Pirates and hooked up with the Brewers, and it's been pretty good for him. 9-2 so far this season, coming off a couple wins his last 2 starts on the road against the Dodgers and the Mariners. Milwaukee 7-0 his last 7 starts, but I do think after this loss last night where, look, the Brewers had a tough series with the Marlins this past weekend, and they end up capturing the final game, and then they win last night. But I think the Cubs bounce back here with Colin Ray on the mound. Two good right-handers, two guys that you don't think of as aces. They're not aces, but 2 guys that have put up decent seasons. So we're going to go with the Cubs here, nearly a pick 'em or so against the Brewers tonight as our level 1 lock of the daily.
I love it. I mean, I love betting on pitchers facing their old team. You don't think, you get a little excited about facing your old team. You got some intel. You're watching those hitters each of the last couple of years. You don't think he knows what pitches he's going to throw when he gets to 2 strikes and how he's going to pitch pitchers. Very, very underrated thing. So I love that. And I think this Chicago team, outside of the Dodgers, I think they're the most talented team here in the National League. So really good team here, loaded with young talent, young arms, even the back end pitching staff really good here. And I think Milwaukee's fine. I like Milwaukee, but I think in this scenario, it's a great spot here to take the Cubs.
Yeah, and again, still a long way to go, but you don't want to fall 2 back if you lose tonight. You win, you're tied again going into Wednesday, so at least you're right there. But then you fall about 2 back, and then it could get a little slippery following that. So I do like the Cubs tonight. We'll see what they do against the Brewers this evening. Lee, what is going on with Paramount Sports?
Yeah, so another big weekend. Well, it starts on Thursday with the football. We've got the Hall of Fame game. Finally, football's here. So we've been waiting a long, long time for it. We got that. Like I said, we'll have either the game or the total. It'll be coming out either on tomorrow's show or Thursday. So listen in. Hopefully take advantage of that. We've had 30 winning seasons out of the 31 years in business. Also, UFC had a winning card and had a drawing last weekend. 4 people, 2 took advantage to receive that card. So won 9 out of the last 10 UFC cards. Have another USC card going this weekend from the UFC Apex. So that's what's going on. Baseball, you get 10 days, $50, 10 days of player props in baseball, $50 for the combo. Total of 10 days of selections in baseball and player props, just $77. It's all available, ParamountSports.com. So I'm excited. We're, finally on the verge of football, and also got a couple DMs, couple teams, I guess some people, they're enjoying the breakdowns and the over-unders. We've got Damon. Damon wants me to break down and predict the Buffalo Bills season total. And Ryan would like to see me break down Ole Miss. So Lane Kiffin, always controversial. We did that earlier. Can't do that. So maybe I'll do Mississippi State or another big team going in the SEC. So check it all out, ParamountSports.com, and stay with us the rest of the week. And before we know it, couple days, we'll be heading into August.
Absolutely, and 2 days away from the Hall of Fame game to begin the NFL season. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here, Locked On Bets, and also you can find the podcast version on your favorite audio platform. You can check us also out on X, Lee at Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. I am Kevin Rogers for Lee Sterling, and we will talk to you again coming up on Wednesday for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.